Britton NewOne Carter, and this is On the Line. Our show promises to empower and uplift our community and give a voice to those that are voiceless. Tonight, we have a very special show, but before I get into that, let me just pull your coat as to where you can reach us at. You can reach us on Facebook at On the Line TV Show, or you can reach us on Twitter, also at On the Line TV Show, and you can follow us at #WatchOnTheLine. Tonight we have with us two great guys. We have with us Mr. Adam Steele and also Mr. Buck Bradbury. Actually, his name is Gerald. I told him I was going to fun with him a little bit. Great friends of mine. Adam, affectionately known as A-Frame, and mainly because they're in the film industry. They do some things with films and documentaries, and that's why we wanted to bring them here. These guys here have really done some unique things with a particular documentary that this showed this past, what was it, this past winter?
It was in March.
It was in March, and it was, you know, they're still tightening up the nuts and bolts to it, but it was a great documentary. And so let's just jump into it. And Mr. Steele, glad to have you here, buddy.
Yeah, good to be here. We appreciate you having us out here.
Listen, tell the people, who is Adam Steele?
Oh, I'm just a guy, man. I'm a cinematographer. You know, I like obviously filming. The documentary became a passion, kind of something I didn't expect to happen. And you know, I'm just a guy that wants to help his community and help build things and make them better than, you know, where we currently are at. My buddy Gerald, I think, feels the very same way. That's kind of how we started. You know, we were always trying to do things and coming across walls and bridges that we couldn't get across because of certain things, this and that and the other. And then I actually think it was his idea. It was like, you know, we should just make a nonprofit and really try to help some other people. And that's kind of how it all started and got the ball rolling. Right.
So there were some things that transpired earlier in your life, I'm sure. There's a beginning to Adam Steele.
Yeah.
And that's primarily what we need to, you know, we serve as an inspiration to our youth. And I'm sure there's some youth that's going to be looking at this and saying, hey, I'd like to do a documentary one day. Where did this guy come from? Either I can or I can't do it. They may have some doubts. Give us a little bit of your background. I'm quite sure everything wasn't just an easy road for you. How did you venture off into?
Well, life, I guess, is different and the same for everybody, essentially. But I grew up with wonderful parents in a great neighborhood. I grew up in Westchester. Life was pretty hunky-dory, as they say, for the most part. But I'd say once we got into our like teen years, you know, we started partying and doing all kinds of other stupid stuff that, you know, kids do and things like that. But we never really fell too hard into really anything hard like that. But so I was kind of familiar with the territory, I guess you'd say. Is the best way to word that. But you know, going forward from there, like, you know, once I had kids and stuff, life kind of turned around very fast. I had kids at a young age. In high school, I had my first son. Great. So that was hard, you know, as a kid to raise a kid as a kid. It's not an easy thing. Right. But yeah, so you know, from there, I still wasn't like involved in community things or anything like that. That really didn't happen until a little bit later. Maybe 28 or 29, I started looking into trying to help people the most I could and things like that. But you know, we all go through rocky parts of life and things, and it's really what you do to turn that around from there. You know, whether you keep going down that path or you break off and grow up at some point. You know, and granted, I didn't have a serious addiction to where I didn't have that problem of, you know, I need help. I can't do this on my own. I never got to that part. So right. We have a mutual friend that tells me that you had a pretty decent baseball game growing up. Yeah. So, well, baseball, football, basketball. I played them all. I wasn't super great at basketball. I was like their Dennis Rodman. You know, I was like real rough around the edges and tackled people when I probably shouldn't have, and you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, you know, I was an athlete. You know, I played sports pretty much my whole life up until I think about my 10th or 11th grade year, and it was. Again, I grew up in Westchester. I went to school with a lot of kids that drove high-end cars, and
you could say
I didn't have a car.
You could say
I didn't have a car, so I wanted a job.
I had to hitchhike to school.
Yeah. So actually, my buddy Blake used to drive us to school.
So Gerald, give us a little bit about who Gerald is.
I like to stay busy. and I've liked to stay busy since I was 7 years old. I started working when I was 7, and I haven't stopped.
Yeah, there's a unique story that I heard pertaining to you in the early days and being this entrepreneur, something dealing with wrestling. Can you?
Well, about 20 years ago, a buddy of mine started wrestling, and somehow or another, I got dragged into it. And from that point on, it was about 97, somewhere around, no, it was actually 95. Remember my first match, it was March 1st, 1995, went out to Indianapolis, and I got hit in the head with a frying pan by the Junkyard Dog Jr.
That explains
So, Junior I had, not the Junkyard Dog, it was his son, whatever. But yeah, so I've always had a love for wrestling. I've always had a love for promotions.
Right.
We had started a promotion. It was 97 when we actually started our own. It was called Real Deal Pro Wrestling. We used to wrestle pretty much all over Cincinnati, northern Kentucky. And it was a blast, and we're actually going to have our 20-year anniversary show the night before Thanksgiving.
That's fantastic. Who was one of your favorite wrestlers growing up? Who did
Growing up, I liked Superfly Jimmy Snuka. I liked Roddy Piper. Those were those were some of my favorites. But I mean, when I was a kid, I ate it up. You know, if I would have had the internet when I was a kid, that's all I would have did was watch wrestling. That was it.
I remember my favorite wrestler had to be Bobo Brazil.
Bobo Brazil. He was a good one. He was a good one.
Okay, how did you guys actually come together? Had you known each other prior to? How did you guys actually come together on this venture?
I think it was actually through, he owns a CEO of a music studio. And through my other workings through Elite Visual Media is I do cinematography work, music videos, that kind of stuff. So I was doing a music video for one of their artists, I think is how we actually kind of met. And this was
a couple of years ago.
2-3 years ago, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But generally in life, like, I think we both kind of pride ourselves on we don't sleep much because we work all the time.
Right.
But I don't really meet somebody very often that works as hard as I do, probably harder. So I instantly felt like a good connection with him, you know. And then when he was like brought up, doing the nonprofit. Anytime you form a business with somebody, you might get an uneasy feeling. But I was like, go from the start. Like, this was going to be awesome. So, but we have another partner who's not here. His name's Elliot Riggins, who's phenomenal as well. Love him to death.
Awesome
Great guy. Great guy.
Right. I met Elliot during the premiere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And let's just kind of back up a little bit. We've done some things. Adam, we've done some things in terms of movies. We shot a movie together some 2 years ago, and this guy is just a phenomenal photographer. He's great. Had me out there with the boom and on-the-job training, teaching me how to act, the whole 9 yards. And so we had a great time, and we put some good work in the can.
For sure.
And when you first contacted me, pertaining to the documentary, it was right then and there. It was right up my alley. You had a great concept, and one of the things that really touched me about this project was the fact that you were doing it from your heart. Can you talk about how you felt and what promoted that feeling? I think it dealt something with your children. You were
It was a number of things. I had some friends I grew up with that had overdosed and passed away. I think there was I want to say there was 4 of them within a short amount of time, and it kind of caught everybody off guard. Everybody was kind of like, we didn't know he was doing heroin, or he would never do heroin, or in school you're taught that the only people that do it are live in a dark alley somewhere and they're poor and they're homeless. Like, that's what you're taught. Well, that's not the case. So it was very mind-blowing to me. And then it became, okay, let me obtain this information and find out what's going on. And at the time, my oldest children were 12. So I'm kind of asking them, oh, do you guys, see heroin at school? Do kids talk about it? And they're like, no, what is that? And I'm like, okay, good. Whew. Sense of relief. And then they're like, well, some kids take Vicodins and da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden that sense of relief was gone.
Right.
And now I'm scared. And I'm like,
because now we're talking
these kids
about
are in
opiates.
junior high in Westchester, Ohio, where everything's hunky-dory, as we said before, and it was very scary. So I'm like, okay, more information. Let's get this. Let's present this to the kids and keep the kids safe. And then it just kind of snowballed, through talking to other people. A girl, Sarah, I grew up with, I was real good friends with, had a family member that went through addiction and stuff, and she's a photographer. But she was like, hey, why don't you just make this a documentary? You got all this info compiled, and you've been talking to all these people, because I was curious. So I'm like asking addicts, like, how did you get addicted? Why are you addicted? Like, people that are recovered, like, how did you get? I was just very intrigued, and through meeting them, I gained a lot of compassion because I did, I hate to admit it, but I thought like a lot of the rest of society does at first. They, just whatever, they're just a junkie, that kind of mind frame, which is the worst mind frame to have, because I get it and I mean, these are people, these are human beings, they need help, brothers, sisters, cousins, neighbors, whatever. It doesn't matter what they are, who they are, it's a human being that needs compassion, not judgment. So the documentary quickly kind of turned and styled more towards that awareness, education, and kind of getting rid of that stigma and really showing the personal side to people, and we hate hearing, they'll never be a successful member of society. Well, we all three know a lady who was very successful, who fought with heroin for a long time. So for somebody to say that, I think it's just completely ignorant. But it's a battle that's not going to be won with anything other than education and compassion, in my opinion. I mean, you can fight the war on drugs all you want, but how long's that been going on? I mean, it's doing nothing. We just have to. And I'm not saying just throw away the people that are already having problems. We still need to face that. But keeping other people from following those footsteps, I think, is very pertinent.
Right. And I'm a big proponent of getting out there, putting it on the line. Coming clean with my past, is therapeutic. I believe that, we're an example of what change can be.
Right.
And Gerald, to that point, how do you see the whole process of treatment now that you've had an opportunity to be on the ground floor of this documentary?
I think it's a lot better than it was, and people are starting to see like we need to kind of hit this from a different aspect. I'm just happy, really, that they're starting to see like stop putting people in jail for this. Let's treat the situation because, unfortunately, my oldest daughter's mother, she passed from an overdose. She had got out of prison or jail or what have you, 7 months, kind of went through the thing where there wasn't any fentanyl or carfentanil around.
Right.
OD'd the night that she had got out. They found her. Next night, OD'd again, they didn't find her in time, but she had found with fentanyl in it. And so she had probably did what she was normally used to doing, but no idea with that extra stuff in there. So I'd really like to see a lot more compassion and treatment going towards that way instead of just, you got to go to jail. And we're already overcrowded anyways.
Right.
So we're overcrowded everywhere.
Right.
And it's ridiculous.
And, correct me, but, one of the things that bothers me with the opioid epidemic is that we suddenly put a tag on it that it's an epidemic. Yeah. It's always been an epidemic. There's no one side of the track that's better than the other side of the track. And I think once we dismiss or dispel some of these myths, as to who is to attack and who is not to attack, then maybe we can actually do some real work in treatment. Yeah. I like what you guys did at the premiere when you invited different agencies, different the treatment facilities. You even donated some money to one cause. Yeah. And speaking of donations, you guys had some organizations donate you some funds, which was really great to help you in this project. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we're really excited about a golf outing that we're actually having tomorrow. And Jake Sweeney, Jeep Chrysler Dodge, was gracious enough to put up a car for a hole-in-one shot. We were very happy about that. We had was it Jim's Pool up in Westchester. They donated some stuff. Already Cafe donated some stuff for tomorrow. But we've had other companies, Continental Office Supplies. They were very generous with us. So, but we're just trying to raise money for the Glad House is what we're after. And we're really happy with what they're doing with the community. And actually, she emailed me the other day saying like, we have 14 more kids, come find us because what we're doing for them. And they take care. They take kids in after school from 5 to 12 in age, and feed them, counseling, make sure they get their homework done, and every one of them said they feel completely safe there, and that's awesome because we know where they're coming from, and they see it every day, and with them having that hope, it was nice when we did that little was a talent show where we did for them a couple weeks ago.
We actually got to meet the kids, and
Yeah,
it's-
and it was really nice. And we love helping them. And it was just by me sitting in a barber chair. I never watched TV. And the news comes on and they start talking about this place because he and I were like, where are we going to donate this money for this documentary? And that was it. Because we love kids and we hate heroin, and it just kind of made sense.
I do want to say with the golf outing tomorrow, we kind of teamed up with Single Swing Golf.
Yeah.
Out of actually Washington, D.C. It's a golf club company who's helping us do this and raise this, and they're going to give away a bunch of stuff at the outing, like a couple sets of clubs and some hats and things like that. But they're very passionate about community work as well. They several of them also work for a nonprofit called PAL, which is Progressive Accessible Living, who help with sign language. My buddy Brent is an interpreter, and some people, their insurance won't cover certain things, whether it be court or health or the doctors, things like that. So this nonprofit comes in and does the interpretation for them to help them out. So definitely want to mention them, love them. They're a great group of guys in both companies.
Great. So you guys have tentacles just about everywhere. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your nonprofit. You know, why don't you tell us about your nonprofit?
The nonprofit is Impact Changes Society, and basically, like, we like to raise funds and stuff for other people through entertainment, because both of us actually come from an entertainment background, and that's what we love. You know, so the documentary, the golf outing. You know, we have music festival coming up. So
where's the music festival going to be?
It's going to be at the Madison Theater. It'll actually be at the Madison Live, too, so we'll have 2 stages going on at the same time. We actually just booked that this week. So there's going to be the best of the best in Cincinnati that's coming out, and hopefully with a couple other businesses maybe help us get some headliners in there.
But we got a few different genres and stuff.
Yeah, so it'll
be fun for everybody.
R&B, bluegrass, reggae, country, rock. So we'll have.
Oh, back up! You said bluegrass?
Oh yeah,
bluegrass.
I'm there.
Okay.
I love bluegrass.
I'm there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's what really ICS. That's what we're about. Is like having fun, drawing people out, and helping others. You know, that's kind of like the whole goal behind everything we do. Number 1, helping others. Number 2, man, let's have fun. Let's have fun.
And we got that party for the. We do a backpack give back right before school starts. So that'll be at Crossgate Lanes on August 12th.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to stay in touch with us, with my producer. You're going to have to let us know what's going on so we can be a part of it as well.
Yeah.
You guys have been really great to me. And I just want to say, you know, I was talking to Michelle Dillingham, and we were talking about the time that we had with you guys and, you know, and making the documentary. And it was such a great time. You know, and it was a time that for cleansing. You know, to really shed some light on this dreaded disease, you know, of addiction. Are we looking at you guys doing some things, some more documentaries in the future, some more things? What are we going to do?
You better believe it. Honestly, I would like to already have jumped into another one, but I'm still trying to smooth out the end part of this last one here. So once that happens, I definitely want to do some more. I'm not 100% on what yet as far as topic goes. I've got a few ideas. I know he's got a few ideas. Elliot's got a few ideas. So we're just going to have to sit down and really solidify what we want to do. But there's so many problems, we can't attack them all. So it's like I'm really trying to be specific to what I think is kind of hurting our communities the most. And right now, unfortunately, it's still the opiate problem. So I don't know if you know, that's still the same lane we're going or what, but something has to be done because it's getting, it might be plateauing, you know, or getting worse, but it's not getting better, I can tell you that.
It's definitely not getting any better. And
and people are getting a little sick of it, to be honest. I think people are getting numb, and now we named it The War We Ignored 2.5 years ago when we started this, because people completely ignored it. And then now it's kind of come around where it's being talked about, it's kind of being put in the news, it's being put in people's face, but now people are like becoming numb to where they don't want to hear about it anymore. Now they're turning their backs again, and I'm like, well, we're right back to point A. How do we get back to point A, you know, in a few years? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. We should be further along.
Right, and I understand your frustration. And one of the things that from my perspective, what we have to do, we have to keep this thing up close and personal.
Yeah.
Because it's personal when it lands on your doorstep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when it becomes personal to you, and that's when you want to take action. But we need to take action before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so many of our youth, whether they're black kids, whether they're white kids, whether they're
don't matter.
Hispanic kids, you know, all our youth are susceptible to these drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
I think here in the news not too long ago, we saw where there was a little infant or a little child that got a hold of some carfentanil or some fentanyl and died as a result.
Yeah.
That's a future that's snuffed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For lack of awareness. And, you know, it's just
Well,
like the shootings.
And the other thing, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, there's another lady I speak with that is like, she works on a lot of kids drug-free things,
Right.
but she was having people in Westchester fill out this petition about, you know, getting it more talked about in schools and this thing.
Right.
And this lady made this comment like, yeah, we should really do something about this before it gets here. And I'm thinking to
Before it
myself,
gets here,
before it gets
it's
here, it's
here.
been here. It's been here for 20, 30, 40 years. What do
It's
you mean
been
before it
here.
gets here? When I was 12, 13 years old, I could go up the street and buy all the pills I wanted. In Westchester, don't sit there and act like, oh, when it gets here. Like,
Exactly.
It's here, ma'am, I'm sorry. But and that's the thing is like people just want to, I don't know if she really believes that or just wants to turn a blind eye and act like, you know, this community's perfect. But every little town throughout the tri-state you go to, you can get drugs. It's not
Yeah,
hard.
it was
I'm sure.
just in Norwood this week where the guy had it sent from China, had a big thing of fentanyl sent right to his house from China
Yeah,
in
From
Norwood.
China.
Yeah.
I think it was March 1st this year, China just made it illegal to buy fentanyl off a line. Before that, it wasn't illegal. You could get online and buy fentanyl from China, no problem, you know? And it was cheap. I can't remember, don't quote me on this, but it was something like $250 for a kilo or something like
Oh,
that,
wow.
you know? And that's pure fentanyl. That's enough to knock out the state alone. I mean,
That's right.
come on.
That's right. And you know, one of the slogans that I've adopted is that, you know, it's from Georgia to Georgetown. You know, you find this in our capital. You find it in the homes of senators. You find it in the homes of judges. You find it in homes in America.
Yep.
And we have to stop this thing, stomp it out, and eradicate this from our society.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you guys want to update us on how to get in touch with you, how to follow you guys?
Well, the best way for the nonprofit would be the website, which is impactchangesociety.org. And then on Facebook, just at Impact Changes Society. And then me personally, just Adam Steele on Facebook, Steele.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just Gerald Bradbury on Facebook.
You just are.
That's just,
It's
that's
You
just
just
me.
are. You my God. Adam, are we doing any movies? Or what's coming up on the movies?
It's hard to say. I've got, honestly, a lot of things going on in the video world of my own life, plus the nonprofit stuff, family stuff. So right now, I wouldn't say I'm going to be doing any films outside of documentary anytime soon that I know of.
Right.
But if somebody shows up with enough funds, yeah, we know we can work. But no. Honestly, I don't think so. I wouldn't say in probably the next 2 or 3 years, because I really want to focus on what we're doing and get
Right.
that moving a little more
Right.
solid before I play.
Right.
We have schools that we want to work with when school gets back in and really just try to get into every elementary school that we possibly can.
And
Not that
that's
we're
great.
taking away from the middle schooler or the high schooler,
Right.
but we have to
You
scare
have to
the
start it,
bejesus out
right.
of them with this.
Exactly.
They're the most impressionable. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
unfortunately, my 16-year-old kid knows everything. He doesn't,
Yeah. Don't
So
they
you know-
all?
you know how that works,
Did you
right?
at 16?
Exactly. I do
and-
everything at 12. What are you talking about?
And that's a great point, you know, and that, you know, that chimes into one of my concerns as well. You know, we'd love to be instrumental in that type of effort. You know, how can we? Is there something that we can do to incite our community to get them a part of being a part of this venture that you guys are going into in terms of going into the schools and whatnot? What can we do? How can we gather our forces together? What do we have to do?
It's a lot of just, I
Being
guess,
there.
being persistent.
Yeah.
Keep calling, making the calls, making the emails, you know, putting your face in front of theirs, that kind of thing. We've got some really good leads. Nobody's really told us no yet. It's more or less, let me talk to this guy, talk to the chain of command, how that works.
Right.
But I have no doubt in my mind we're going to be in there. But I just, like he said, like to do a lot. I would like to do a lot of schools. I would like to reach as many kids as possible and speak to them and let them know what they're facing, what they're looking at. You know, even junior high, you know, some of these kids might be dabbling in these drugs and stuff, and they need to know, like, now, like, man, I know you think you're just having fun and you're experimenting, but you could ruin your life and a lot of other people's lives real fast experimenting. So
let me ask you before we close out, is there a way, and I know we want to address this, you know, with our youth, with our kids, but is there a way that we can get into this prison system and help to really bring about some healing to those that are incarcerated, who suffer from this disease, and the only treatment that they got was to be in prison? Can we do some things in terms of helping those human beings out?
I don't know. To be honest, I never really thought much about that.
I mean, I would say that there could be, but I think there's a lot of red tape and a lot of people that have to say yes and check off, and the money can go to this, making a facility in there. And I'd love to see it because, you know, but like I was saying earlier, like, I think we need to just kind of, if they're there for addiction, you know, that's why they got put there. They got caught with something, paraphernalia, or what have you. Let's find a different program for them to be in, because they don't need to be there. You're not helping them. You're making it worse. And you know what? Well, and I believe you said this in the documentary. One of the first times that you OD'd was in prison.
Yeah.
So the very first time I overdosed was in prison, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but we want to stop others from ODing, whether they're in prison, whether they're out of prison. We're just about at the end of our show, but you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't leave us with a message. You know, and the message is this: is that we've got guys out here that are cutting through that red tape, and I commend you. You know, we need more of our community, black, white. We need our community to band together to fight this thing called heroin, to fight the opioid addiction. You know, only then can we eradicate this from our communities, from our babies. We've got to protect our future. We've got to take care of our future. We've got to be willing to put it on the line. This has been your host, Britton NewOne Carter, and this is On the Line. Listen, before we do close, I do want to say, I want to have you guys back. Okay? Got to have you guys back.
Okay.
We'd love to come.
We got to bring all those babies you got.
I don't know if we got enough room.
So let's bring these guys back sometime in the near future. And thanks a lot. And this has been your host again, Britton NewOne Carter, and this is On the Line.
On the Line.